Good evening. My name is Gunnar, and my co-host here is Jonah D. Pasquale. This is Craft Beer Blab on another Tuesday night. Rush Miller Eric says, listen, you two, I have to go to a shift brief and we'll be in late. No fun till I'm back. Sorry, Rush. All the fun is going to be happening before you get on, and then we'll get serious when you get on. So I don't know how that's going to work. We'll try to save some fun for you.
Maybe.
Right. No. So we got a number of different hop topics. I know I have a couple that I can remember, and I hope that you have some also. Anybody on here replaying or even live, I thank you for being here. Go ahead and share this with your friends on Twitter or Facebook, whichever you prefer, or both if you want. I'm going to go ahead and click my post a tweet button. So let's get going. Let me just start off with, so as a beer drinker, craft beer drinker especially, I know that both you and I have talked about our appreciation of IPAs.
Yep.
And so I just came across something, I think it was just today, that the American Homebrewers Association is talking about this thing called lupulin threshold shift.
Yep.
And it was kind of interesting to me that, they're talking about this phenomenon where as you drink hoppy beers, you kind of, almost build up a tolerance for it. Especially as far as taste buds go, and maybe even develop a craving for having those particular beers.
Yep.
What do you think about that?
It's hard to say because I think the problem with that is that the craft beer world is so diverse, and that's like I don't know, man. That's like trying to compare like a Wendy's burger to like In-N-Out. The criterion, there's like a main line, like sure, it's probably a burger. But again, when you talk about taste, there's just it's apples and oranges. I don't think that they're going to be able to consistently loop a good number of beers at any one given time in this specific nomenclature. Do you know what I mean? And because the other thing too, I feel like craft beer is evolving so quickly, not just so much here on the East Coast, because obviously we're seeing a newer renaissance, but even the Midwest or whatever. They've got staple types of styles brewing and what have you. But I would bet without question, if you were to ask like a brew crafter or somebody what their thoughts were about it, I'm sure that they would probably be like, nah, I don't think so, because I think ultimately what that is doing, and I could be wrong, is sort of pigeonholing the predictability. You know what I mean? I guess that's sort of kind of where I'm going with it.
Right.
I guess to your point though, the consistency is true. That I feel is true, but I think the brand integrity itself will probably police that particular aspect of the product. So I would say my thought on that is I'd give that a no. I don't think that would fly. I could be wrong, but that's just sort of my take on
it. Right. Well, and I can see how, I tend to kind of agree. I know that because my own personal story of first time trying an IPA, and it was like, I was like, oh, what the heck am I tasting?
Right.
As you drink more of them, I don't know about necessarily developing a tolerance or even a craving, but
sure.
I think you develop a taste for it, and so you kind of appreciate it more.
Yeah.
But then, kind of playing off of that, I also came across the fact that there's a blogger, and I just put the link up, and they were talking about some hop trends that are coming up, but mostly what they're talking about is that there's a possibility of a hop shortage coming up possibly this year. And so hops are a major component of beer. They give, obviously, IPAs a lot of their flavor, but I mean, even in multi, I mean, it's in almost every beer. So,
Right.
And apparently, it only grows in a certain region.
Right.
And there's only a certain amount of growers that grow them. There's only a certain amount of hop farms out there. And I think what the problem is that there's such a wide variety of hops that it's hard for farmers to say, okay, well, I'm going to focus on this hop, or I'm going to grow, these type of hops, because they don't know what the brewers are going to want, especially the craft brewers are going to want through the year. I mean, they can kind of guess, okay, well, I know that these hops are real popular, but then a lot of the other hops, and even coming from a home brewer, I'll come up with a recipe, or I'll come up with something, and I'll be like, okay, well, I'm going to use this hop, and I'm going to use that hop, and I'm going to mix these together.
Right.
And a lot of brewers are going to be the same way, where they kind of, okay, well, we want to try this for this year.
Sure.
And so that's going to make it hard for farmers to focus on a certain hop.
Right.
And so I don't know, and then they're talking about how a lot of hop farmers supply the larger companies, the macro breweries, that they also buy hops for their beers.
Right.
And so, they'll farm for those variety of hops, and then that will keep out the smaller hop varieties that a lot of the craft brewers are looking for.
Right.
So we could be getting into, and what this is also going to do is probably going to raise prices up even more, which I hate to say, because I mean, craft beer is already sometimes pretty expensive.
I would agree with that. And it's, unfortunately it pushes, it pushes the budget for many of us. I think that, I will be the first to say to that point, I definitely have a kind of a threshold as to what my palate will will be able to afford. I mean, there's the good stuff, which we all know. I mean, it goes without saying. I mean, it's the same way with booze. I mean, Johnny Walker Blue, of course, we'd love to, would love to drink Johnny Walker Blue, but at $200 a bottle and $30 a rocks glass for how much, and I can see that. I do have a good friend of mine from the ski industry, and I have to do some research later on, but he was a pro patroller, and he actually, this was almost about a year and a half ago. He actually, I think it's Black Dog. I'll have to research it, but anyway, he actually here in upstate New York created a hops farm. And it was funny, and it's fun. And if I don't remember, do remind me. But he that's exactly what he does. And it's funny because he said that to me. He's like, at that time I was sort of dabbling in craft beer, but he's like, oh yeah, he goes, it's going to be a problem. And it's funny because I can see, to your point about this guy is following. I mean, it could be, it certainly could be an issue, but I think also too though, man, I think that. As a collective, I have to say, this sort of, kind of dovetails to the first conversation we were having about some type of standardization. I mean, obviously not in terms of predictability, but because of this exact point. Think about, hops and mash and sour and all that. There are some basic ingredients, obviously, but to your point, about the complexity of different craft beers, obviously they're going to be drawing from unique pockets. I mean, obviously it's almost like wine, to a certain degree. I mean, look at wine. I mean, there are certain grapes that are grown in certain regions. There's certain style wines, there's reds, there's whites, blah, blah, blah. There's ice wines, whatever. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, I guess it is what it is. I mean, I can't say and again, not a wine expert, not at all. But I mean, my point is, all of a sudden, is a new style of wine, other than some kind of like ridiculous, super, homogenized, cross pollinated, whatever. But I mean, for craft brew, anyway, for the viewers out there, yeah, I mean, I could see that being a huge problem. Right. And I don't know, man. It's like, how would it's weird. It sounds to me that there's just a huge disconnect between, what some twisted up, master brewer with a beard wants to be making like today, tomorrow. Really, I mean, when we talk about some of the earlier shows about sours and things like that, where it takes an entire year to brew something like that. I mean, I don't know where the disconnect is with the actual hop farmers, but yeah, I mean, that could be an issue. I don't know. Hopefully not.
And again, coming from being a home brewer, I see it kind of already. In fact, so I have a recipe that I'm brewing, and this is actually the second time that I'm brewing this recipe. And I ordered all the ingredients online from northernbrewer.com, but I had accidentally ordered one packet of hops that was incorrect. And so I needed an ounce of mosaic hops. And so I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? I need this hop. And in researching it, I think because there are some hops that you can replace with a different hop that has, because with hops, it's all about flavor and aroma. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe I can replace it with something that'll be similar. And looking it up, well, this hop that I chose is actually a new variety that was just released, I think, a couple of years ago. And so it's actually already kind of rare because it's a new variety. And then it's also just kind of getting rare as homebrew shops. So I'm like, okay, well, I need this hop. So I call up our local homebrew shop. I'm like, hey, do you guys have this mosaic hop? He's like, yeah, but I only got a couple packs. But so you'll probably want to come in as soon as you can to get it. I'm like, okay, I'll be there in 10 minutes. So literally I jumped in my car, went down there, picked up a packet. And then he's like, well, maybe you want to pick up a couple of packets. And I'm like, yeah, I probably should, but I just want to get this one brew going. And so I'm going to hold off on it. But I probably should have bought a couple if I want to mimic this recipe some more. And again, because when I go back, maybe if I go back in a month or 2 months, he may not have those hops anymore. And so then I'll have to really change the recipe and figure out, okay, well, what am I going to do?
Well, but then you brought up a good point. I mean, here's the thing. How long? I mean, like, what's a crop? Like, corn, knee high by July or whatever. I mean, like, I get, and probably my own ignorance, I should know. So, I mean, realistically, what does it take for the audience out there? I mean, what's a turn, on a crop of hops? I mean, how long does it take to come up with enough of a batch or a harvest or whatever to come to market? I mean, my point to you is, could you not like dig a bunch of fence posts in your backyard, throw up some some wire and grow a hops farm? I mean, is that going to happen? No. I mean, but maybe if you sleep at the Holiday Inn Express, it could happen. I don't know. I mean, seriously, do you know the answer to that?
No, yeah. Well, I mean, people do grow. In fact, one of my neighbors has a hop plant growing in his backyard, and I've been tempted.
I'm sorry. Did you say pot? Did you say pot plant?
Yeah. No. That's not legal.
Okay. Sorry. This is a craft beer Blab, not 420 Blab. I just want to make sure.
Right. No. So he has plants growing in his backyard, and I've been tempted to pick some. Well, and to your point, I think those two plants are actually related. Like they're almost cousins.
Yes. Yes, that is true.
That is true. That can go off onto a whole subject there.
Yes, don't let the government know that, because then they would own the patent to hops as well. By the way, did you know that? I'll tell you.
Well, and you know what? That brings me to another thing that kind of, I don't know how I feel on this, because some of these hop varieties are patented, and so I mean, I come from kind of this standpoint that how are you going to patent a plant? I mean, that's a living thing. Why? On the other hand, I can understand a farmer that maybe, he cultivates and he kind of crossbreeds or whatever to get the right stuff that he wants, and then he releases it out. He patents it so that, obviously, when it comes down to it, if you can make money on it, cheers, Nooner 86. How are you doing today? If you can make money on it, I mean, I'm not going to hold that against the guy.
Yeah. Well, it's I think, like you say, is anytime something like that's modified where it's not like the original, then I think that there is that conversation. But I mean, hops, that could be the future as we know it. I mean, it could be pretty scary. You know what I mean? I think that's we're talking about something that is clearly the open frontier. And I mean, right now, everybody's like, oh, I love craft beer, but meanwhile, it's like, I don't know if I have any Futurama fans out there. If you want to watch the Slurm episode, it was hilarious, where they had the brain and the character, and they tried to figure out where Slurm was coming from. But my point to you is, audience, is that the source, right? Which is what we're talking about, the hops. Right. This is really, that's the proverbial pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and not for nothing, as the scarcity, really becomes more prevalent, like you said, all of a sudden, people are gonna be like, oh, how come, two things are gonna happen, to your point. The price of craft beer is going to go through the roof. There's no question about it, right? Or what's going to happen is these, Aborigine, cross-pollinated whack job, puppy piss beers are going to come out of nowhere. I mean, we'll all be drinking, natty daddies on the corner out of brown paper bags. I don't know, man. Red flag Dan's probably going to give me some hearts on that one. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Anyway. Hey, Nooner86, welcome. Good to see you. Thanks for joining Craft Beer Blab. Folks, if you're just tuning in, Jonah D, your co-host, thank you for joining us. Next to me, this way, that way, whichever the interface is with us. Anello Grande Gunnasaurus, the host with the most. He's bringing on the heat every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Again, do us a favor, share this out, tell a bird. You can also share to your audience on Facebook. As I said, also to send out the hashtag Craft Beer Blab. That would be great. And again, we do have an exciting show. We're just kind of this part of the earlier show. We're going through what we call our hop topics, which are some of the notable trends and things that we've been reviewing throughout the week in the Twitter sphere and other resources. So, Gunnar, that's been a major. It sounds like that could be an entirely different show, but I guess maybe we can kind of curtail that one. I did have one other one also. I don't know if you caught this one. It was a little bit. It may have been a little bit of an old tweet, but I think I did actually catch the tail end of it. They actually voted for the best beers. I just snapped out the link there. It was by the folks from The Full Pint. Oh, yeah. The best. Okay, listen to me, audience. The best craft beer voted. At the time this tweet was sent out, with approximately 668 votes, was Founders Ridiculous Imperial Red IPA with a 9.66%. Booyah. And second place, Gunnar, I'm going to tell you, you're probably going to be not too surprised about this. Who do you think the second most popular craft beer of the year was? We've had him on as a hot topic, and we talked him out a little bit. You just recently were in the news.
Right. No, and I'm cheating because I'm looking right at the
Ballast.
Ballast Point.
That was Ballast Point. I honestly can tell you I'm very surprised that it was grapefruit, though. But again, it is. I don't mind grapefruit. But again, second was grapefruit. Third, listen to this: Funky Buddha Last Snow. Good Lord, right. Where in the world is that brewed? But again, that was the third runner up. And look at this: your local crew rocking out the Surly Brewing team with Todd the Axeman.
Oh, yeah.
Have you had that yet? Have you had that?
That's a great beer. It's a great IPA. Excellent. It's well worth it if you can get it. So yeah, rocking it early.
And then we got Treehouse Julius Oscar Blues. Interestingly enough, with a newer edition. I've not tasted this. I'm gonna say I'm on the fence, and this is probably gonna be another show where we do highlight these types of beers. But apparently, Death by Coconut is supposed to be pretty good. Now, I don't know about you, man. Oh man, my spidey senses tingle when I hear that one. Apparently, I've read the reviews and people are into it. And then the last few here, and we'll get right to it. Warped Wing Brewery, Ermel's, a Green Flash Soul IPA, and then 21st Amendment Toaster Pastry. Whoa!
Oh, that's
so. At any rate, again, apparently every year there's a vote for the best craft beers. But again, I've obviously heard of Founders. No surprise there. Ballast Point, Funky Buddha. Don't know where they're from. May need to do a little bit of research. But as I said, so there you have it. That was my hot topic I had, and I guess we can take us to the bridge.
Yeah. Well, one other thing. So there, maybe you caught this on, I think it was on Friday, I heard. So there's an app that I use, and I think you probably used it yourself, Jonah.
Oh yeah.
Untappd is the
yeah.
You go through and you can rate beers and you can get fancy badges and all kinds of stuff. Usually what I use it as, besides the novelty of earning badges, I just kind of use it as a reminder. Okay, I can say, okay, I tasted this beer and I liked it, and maybe a couple of little tasting notes, and then that way if I go back I can say, okay, well, yeah, I like that one, I'm going to get this one for this week or something. And so it's an interesting app that you can get and use, but they're merging with a company, and I can't remember the company's name. I should let me see if I can find it real fast. They're merging with another app company, and what is it?
Yeah, I didn't get it. I know,
but so they're merging, and so obviously things are going to probably change. Oh, Nextglass
yeah.
is more of a restaurant app. So they merged with that company, that app maker.
Yep.
And so they've got some things going on. Now, what's really cool is, and hopefully he'll make it, one of the original developers of Untappd has agreed to come on tonight, and he just texted me about 10 minutes ago and said he's going to try to come on at about 9:30. So hopefully he can make it, and we can talk to him about what's going on with Untappd and what plans they have for the future.
Yeah.
So that'll be kind of interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to talking to him, and I just like talking to people that kind of get things going, and obviously there's probably thousands and thousands of people on Untappd every night logging in their beers, so kind of see how he got into that.
Yeah, I think that's a great app. I actually had been on that program for quite a while. I had a really shitty Android phone that literally was getting crushed with data. So unfortunately, it was a sad day that I took it off my phone. And since then, obviously, I've upgraded and got me a real phone. But it's funny. I've actually not put the app back on my phone, but I obviously still have my my account. And I do get these push notifications that so and so wants to follow you and so on. Anyway, so my point was, I was like, all right, what the hell? Since obviously we kind of came to the fruition of Craft Beer Blab, I got back into it, and it's super handy. And one of the best things that I like about Untappd, without question, is that you can research the beers. Like you can be like, I want to try Allagash White Ale, right? So you can go in, you can like bang out like Allagash White Ale. You can get information about the brewery. You can get information about the beer. You can get information about people that like the beer, your friends that like the beer. So I think that in that respect, I think that is without question huge. So it's a great app, and if you've not, again, you don't, just to preface it, it's like you don't have to be a hardcore beer drinker. I feel that is, I don't want to say that's the misconception of Untappd, It's super helpful. In fact, I would say without question, it's probably a great bridge to people trying to get into drinking craft beer, because odds are they'll be able to have a couple of their friends that they know that, I know Gunnar likes this kind of beer, or, this is his preference. Okay, I might like that, whatever. So my point to you is the next time you go into your local package store or whatever, and you're going to try a beer, I mean, you're going to be way more apt to try something different instead of, okay, well, it's Shock Top again.
Right.
I'm not dissing Shock Top. I just, that's not my bag. But most people fall into a rut and they keep getting the same beers over and over again. Ironically, we were talking IPAs and for some reason, by the way, I don't know if you noticed this, but man, it seems like IPAs are just getting a bad rap as like the oh wow, that's craft beer. I mean, it is, but as to our points of this show, I mean, there's so many different awesome styles of beer that that are out there. Not enough days in the week to try them all, unfortunately, but we'll get there. We'll
try. I mean, every week we'll be on here, and hopefully we're trying different types of beer. So that's a step in the right direction. I was going to say too that I've noticed, and I can't bring it up right now, but I've noticed that on Untappd, when you enter a beer, it will give you a recommendation based on, I think, what you're rating that beer that you're drinking at. So, say if you put in Surly Furious and you say, okay, I like that beer, I think it'll give you recommendations based on that of other beers that you may want to try. So that's kind of
neat. I think it works off of the algorithm. It's their algorithm, whatever. Anyway, but also it's your preference. It's exactly what you're saying. It's your preferences. So, for example, if you are checking in with a lot of heartier beers or IPAs or stouts or whatever. No, it is without question designed that way. Because I think that's a fairly new feature, because I definitely don't remember that being on there. But I honestly, I find that to be super helpful. In fact, I would definitely say that, without question, would it get me to try the suggested styles of beers? Probably. I mean, I would say that's definitely going to be more of a likely option than me just kind of like, blind, faith picking a beer and saying, I'm going to try it. And I think that's one of the beauties of these types of shows is you're going to get, kind of, some real raw facts about whether or not people should try things. I mean, people are going to run out and start drinking session ales. I don't necessarily think so, but I'll be the first to tell you, I'm just like, the hell with that. I mean, I don't want to drink something that's got 4.5% alcohol. I want to get cockeyed. But I mean, I think the reality of it is, if you, watch some of the replays of our Imperial Stout shows, I mean, I was freaking soused, man. I think I needed like a bib. I think I needed a bib by the time, we were done. So it means there's a lot of value there. I think Untappd. Oh, what do you got there, dude? Whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah. Never.
Rodenbach.
Get it, dude. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, Crowder. Never a dull moment with Crowder. Look at that. Whoa. He's ready.
What's happening, gentlemen?
Crowder, you look like you're putting out like a hip hop album or something, man.
It's fucking cold up here. It's like I'm up to the white tundra. It's ridiculous.
I know. That's awesome. Well, hey Gunnar, I see Greg's jumped on, man. If you want to bring him in, please.
Go ahead and grab a seat if you want, Greg. We're excited to have you on. We were actually just literally talking about Untappd. Here we go. Oh.
Let's switch cameras here. Let's do this. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right.
Loving the shirt, man. That's fantastic.
Thank you. A friend of mine made it up in Maine, and everyone reads it and says beer me, thinking that I want a beer when I really do, but more importantly,
Maine.
So.
I mean, if you can create the virtual interface where I could like hand you a beer through the screen, I would do it. But yeah, I think that needs to be the official kit for craft beer. Look at that, nice.
Hunter, what was that?
This is a High Road Everyday Ale by Badger Hill Brewing in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
So there he is again. There we go.
More importantly, what was that thing you used to open your beer with? That was pretty cute.
Oh, well, I didn't open it. It's actually, the 6-pack carriers.
Never seen those.
Oh yeah, no, that's
those are clutch.
Yeah,
I mean,
a lot of breweries are doing that now.
Yeah. So I did prepare and bring 3 because they're session ales. So you can drink more. So, but hey, everyone, welcome Greg Avola. Is that how you say your last name, Greg?
That's it.
Excellent. And you are one of the founding creators of Untappd?
That's correct. Yes, I am. I'm we're only 2 of us, so I guess that makes us co-founders, right. I guess. So
Co-founders.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. Nice.
So.
Well, I just got to say that I love your app because
Thank you.
We're just literally talking about it, and I was talking about how I use it is mostly just to keep track of beers that I have, and then that way, when I go back to a store, I can say, okay, well, I've had this one, and I like it. Especially if I'm going to like a dinner party or something, and I want to bring a beer that I know is good. I'll look it up and think, okay, well, I had this at this time, and it was really good, so I'll get that one, knowing that it's a solid beer.
Exactly. I mean, there's so many times that we've had a beer before in the past, and we just don't remember. We're human, right? We always forget what we liked, what we didn't like, and it's a great way to keep track of all the things you've had, what beers you like, which beers you didn't like, so you don't spend. I'm from New York City, so you don't spend $10 on a pint that you probably hated before and you didn't want to buy again.
Exactly. No, and I've been there where actually I'll have a beer and I'm thinking, wow, this is really good. I'm going to put this in Untappd, and I'll put it in, and then it'll, it comes up where, I've already put that in already.
Yes.
I have a little star in the corner. I'm like, oh, okay. And yeah, I rated it well. So, okay, well, solid.
You did a good job there. My father-in-law always tells me we'll go out to a brewery or something, and then he'll like, I never had this before. I'm like, are you sure, Dave? Are you sure? And he goes, yeah, I'm sure. And then he searches it in there, and it's like, I've had it 3 times? What is this going on here?
How do I not remember? But yeah, it's a great app.
Thank you very much.
Now, let me start. I guess we can go into kind of background. How did you come up with the concept and make an app to keep track of beer?
Yeah, so my co-founder and I, Tim Mather, he's in Los Angeles. I'm obviously in New York. We came up with the idea mainly because we were big fans of Foursquare. So Foursquare was the thing that we did all the time. We used to check into places. He's on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. So it basically, we wanted to see what each other were doing. We thought about industries that are very social, inherently social, but not really social in a real-time fashion. Yes, there are message boards and things like that people post, usually after they drink or after they're home or etc. We wanted to bring the aspect of as much fun we have when we're in person with people to do it in a more social aspect around the world in real time. So we kind of put that together and we said, hey, let's start with this app. And Tim came up with the name Untappd. And, I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, you're talking about, we launched in 2010. People would actually share what they're drinking, where they're drinking it, and when they're drinking it in real time. I wasn't really sure how many people would catch on to that perception, but I was very wrong when I thought people would use it on a very low passion. And now look where we are today, 5 years later, and much different story. So that's kind of how it all started.
And do you know how many users you have on Untappd?
We've got 3 million users on the application today. So it's growing
million?
every day. And
Wow.
3 million, yes.
Awesome.
So, from a small two-man shop, we work part-time, and obviously you heard the news of recently we're merging with NextGlass. But I think just being able to get to the part-time to a full-time is incredible. 5.5 years, all part-time, which has been absolutely crazy.
Right, nice. And so how did that deal with next what was it, NextGlass? I'd never heard of them until Friday, and I still can't keep it in my brain. But what are they, and how did that come about?
Nextglass is another social app out there that really kind of drives toward doing social chemistry on beer. So basically their app will allow you to say, well, I like this beer based on a chemical algorithm. So we fit in kind of well with them because we're both in the social space. We both want to disrupt the beer space, and we want to create worlds where we can help you find the next beer. We can help you find recommendations that are local, that are nearby. We can help you find what your friends are drinking all around it. So we were looking for partners out there to kind of take the next step and maybe go full time on this. And a lot of people kind of, were helpful, but these guys kind of, put the perspective and put the vision in front of us and said, hey, we want to work together to kind of solve the same thing. So that's kind of what we came to be.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. Any big changes we're going to see right away with the app, or is there just stuff that's going to be coming down the pike, months and months later? Or
yeah, I mean, there are no immediate changes to the app. People get questions about this stuff whenever a merger happens, like what's going to happen. There are going to be no changes to the app. It's going to be the same app that everybody loves to use, including myself. We're going to add, only thing that's going to be changing is more features are going to happen pretty soon. We're going to have the ability to do this on a full-time basis. So that means that features and bug fixes will happen at a faster rate. Hopefully more features than bug fixes, but we'll see about that. But I think from our standpoint, the biggest change will be that we'll be able to dedicate the full attention that Untappd deserves. Over the last 5.5 years, we've tried to give it everything we can, but we always want to give it more, and this is going to give that opportunity to do so.
Right. Awesome. Well, I was just going to say that we were talking
very much
the recommended beers that we had just noticed recently, I think, and I don't know, how far back you had put that in, but that I'd noticed, when you check in with a beer and it comes up recommended, is what type of algorithm are you using on that? And then is that going to be changing because of the Nextglass injection there?
Yeah, we're going to look and see what Nextglass has to offer and then see what makes sense for us and then integrate it as needed. The algorithm that we have right now for the recommendations, there's twofold. There's one for non-local and then one for local. We changed this up probably about a year ago, and we really built the algorithm, which we, actually coined Next Beer, which is kind of funny with Nextglass now. But it's based on a few things. Based on location, obviously, beer is very local and very focused, and so that we recommend you applying to the Elder is fantastic. But if you're in New York or a state that doesn't have it, it's kind of like, I hate you, Untappd. Why the hell would you say that? So we want to be a little more selective to what we offer. We want to make sure that it's available in your local area.
Right.
We want to make sure that it's a top style that you like and that you haven't had it before. So a lot of that goes into there. And sometimes when you check in, it will say, beer, similar beers based on local recommendations. That's how you know that it will be local.
Right.
If it doesn't say the word local, it's basically a population across all beers based on that particular style.
Gotcha.
Depending on availability and how quickly we can get the response back to you, sometimes we have to default back to the population stuff. But majority of the time, it's going to be local. And even on the beer search page is a suggested tab, and that's always local 24/7. So that's a great way to kind of see what's around you. I use it a lot when I'm traveling sometimes. I'll be like, what's around this area that I haven't tried before, because it's pretty much everything because I've never been there before. So that's a really cool way to kind of get recommendations and kind of go from there.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what's your current go-to or favorite beer?
It's like the $1 million question. I mean, everybody, to be honest with you, my favorite beer of all time, honestly, is Planet of the Elder. I think it's one of the best beers I've ever had. If I could drink that all day, and then if I could drink any other beer for the rest of my life, just that beer probably would be that one. And I'd be a happy camper. I mean, some people out there, they're like, you know what? I like Heady Topper. That's my beer of choice. Sip of Sunshine, which is another one up here on the East Coast. That's a very popular East Coast IPA. But I'm a fan of hops. I think West Coast, sadly to say, does a little bit better than the East Coast when it comes to that. However, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of this brewery called Other Half Brewing Company in New York City. They're located in Brooklyn. And they are making lots of waves in terms of their IPAs. I was at a bottle release on Saturday. I've never done this before. Typically I stay away from the bottle releases. They're just too crazy. But I tried it this time for the first time. I waited 4 hours in line for a beer. The beer was good. Don't get me wrong. With the other half and stuff like that, it's fantastic. But 4 hours, I feel like I was at Disney World, and I was going to get on a 15-second ride after I was done with this.
That better been like 10 beers, not just one beer.
Yeah. Well, we got more than one beer, of course. Every can releases. If it was one beer, something's wrong with me, So, but yeah, I think they're doing a lot of good things there, and I think that's a new brewery that will start to get some waves in the IPA world. But Planet of the Elder is probably still my favorite. I don't get it too often being here on the East Coast, and Philadelphia is the closest place for me. But it's a good beer.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, see, I've never had either. I don't know, Jonah or Tommy, if you guys have had either Pliny or Heady Topper.
No, Heady Topper's a tough one to get. I mean, here in upstate New York, I mean, I've got plenty of my friends that are always, obnoxiously posting, pictures of them drinking Heady Topper. But well, no, seriously, they're not coming from any place locally.
No, only Vermont.
Yeah,
I can't get either one local.
Yeah, no, you have to trade it for people. Like, we'll end up just trading for it or shipping it, or not that I'm condoning that activity or whatever. But that's what they typically do with those type of things.
That's awesome.
Well, Greg, we're supposed to be talking about session beers. What are your thoughts on session beers, and do you have a favorite session beer that you like, or do you forget about them and say,
I've never had that one before, ever. Nice. I mean, everyone seems to debate session ales recently. What percentage is considered a session ale? For me, anything really an IPA under 5% to miss is session. There are a lot of session beers. One of my favorite of all time is All Day IPA by Founders. It's one of my favorite session IPAs out there. But there's a lot of them. I really enjoy.
He's not flicking you off. He's flicking everyone else off. We give him a hard time because of his porn. So
the person who knows I'm flipping him off, they can see this right now.
Yeah, but I mean, session to me is just something you can actually drink, and not have a huge bitterness, a huge alcohol taste. And really be able to enjoy multiple variations of it without pretty much getting knocked out there. With a Planet of the Elder, it's at 9%. You can't do too many of those. But with a good session beer like All Day IPA, which is my favorites, exactly.
Right.
You're like.
Yeah. Please run by.
Like. Yeah, no, we it's funny, Greg, we were just talking about that. A good number of the beers that we have been trying and sampling and tasting. The alcohol content is up there, and ironically, it happens to be the Craft Beer Blab falls on Tuesday, and we were joking, a couple nights. I mean, good Lord. I went to bed. I was like cross-eyed. I mean, you drink, you drink. I mean, seriously, you drink. You drink. What was it, 2 weeks ago? Whatever we did, Russian Imperial Stouts. I'm like, Superman. It's not that, to your point, but it's not that you can't handle it. But usually, that's not a beer or a style of beer that you sit down and you drink socially. So the session ales and the style of beers and some of the back research that I've been doing it's I guess you could correct me. It's the social man's drinking beer where you can sit down,
absolutely.
And it's got, to your point, it has a good taste, it has a good flavor. I jokingly say it's not it's not puppy piss where you're just like, whoa, where'd this swill come from?
Yeah, exactly. I definitely agree with you. I think that session beers are something that's gotten really popular in the last couple of years, only because they're trying to reach new audiences. People want to, when I was probably, 21, 22, getting drunk was probably the best, that was what I wanted to do, right? Now that I'm older, I want to experience all the beers. I want to be able to enjoy them. I don't want to get wasted. It's not my intent anymore. Exactly. So that what I want to do is be able to try all these different beers, but I want the flavor there. I want the alcohol. I want the hoppiness, and then they usually come with the high alcohol content. So it's great to see some of these session IPAs start to come out and really be energetic on some of these flavors.
So one of the things that Gunnar and I have been talking about, and I think that I've seen this is a misconception, and some of the articles I've been reading about IPA being that go-to craft beer. I think, we talked about this earlier is that I think to a lot of people is like a massive turnout because, they don't understand the hops or that piney taste in the fish. They're like, ooh, like for example, I'll use, I can mention my wife, for example. I mean, she'll still hear me, jabbing away about beer, and she'll walk over and she'll try a sip of beer, and she'll be like, "Oh, that's disgusting!" Like
it's the IPA taste,
right?
Yeah. No.
It's the same exact thing. And she'll drink the beer, and so it's not necessarily, in my opinion, an entry beer for a person starting out. I probably would kind of go toward, depending on their taste profile, maybe go with something where it's more of a wheat style beer. My wife really likes sours now. She likes a lot of ciders beforehand, so it kind of makes a little bit more natural step into it. There you go. Very good sour. But I think that's kind of the direction I think most people are going in. IPAs will always be popular. They'll never die in popularity, but the varying styles of how you present the IPA will start to explode. The Session IPA is one. IPL, the Imperial India Pale Lager, has been something that's been talked about recently. So there's a lot of different styles that are starting to get manipulated and changed around to make it work.
Right. Well, in addition to, there's all sorts of different hops being cultivated now, and so now there's different hop profiles and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, I think it's a great time. Jonah and I were talking about earlier how there's possibly going to be a pretty major hop shortage. And that could be affecting beer or beer prices. Obviously, availability comes into play. So
right. I think it's dangerous. I mean, anytime you kind of you talk about gasoline. When gasoline went up really really high the last couple of years because they didn't have enough oil, and I think it's the same thing with hops. Is that it's going to go up because the hop shortage is happening, and then you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. But I really think this year is going to be the year of experimentation for a lot of breweries. I think a lot of people are going to start drifting off, and breweries are going to start popping up that are exclusively do this style of beer. One of my hometown,
I agree with that. Totally agree.
One of my hometown breweries from Framingham, Massachusetts, called Jack Abbey's, is only a lager shop. They do nothing but style lagers, and people love this lager. It's the traditional beer that everyone has learned to love, and putting their own flavor and spin on every one of them provides a unique experience every time. I think that is where most brewers are going to focus on this year, and most brewers will do that just because they want that kind of flavor profile to be changing.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think Greg, you nailed it. Especially in upstate New York. I mean, in Saranac. I mean, if you remember Utica Club.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but man, I my misconception is the first time I had that beer, I was like, wow, this is the worst beer that I've ever tasted. But I mean, that was a number of years ago. And
right.
And it's like it's interesting. I give you like a fast forward. I went to an outdoor summer party over like the July 4th weekend, and like I saw a keg of Utica Club, and I mean the line for Utica Club was like ridiculous, and I'm like what is wrong? But I mean it was a style of beer that you could drink socially, again it paired well with foods, those kinds of things. I want to also touch back on what you were saying about specific brew houses and styles. Upstate New York right now, we are seeing a huge boom of cider houses, man. I will tell you right now, it's like, upstate New York is known for apples. And I mean, there are so many different styles of cider houses popping up. And I can tell you that it goes pairing with like pumpkin beer, which I originally hated, but I do agree with what you're saying about, the specific styles, especially sours and things like that, because then I think to your point, then, those brewers will be able to stay in their lanes and then specifically produce the style quality that's true to that craft. Not like, we kind of do this, and Gunnar being a home brewer, he kind of talked about it earlier, with the complications of trying to, brew different styles as well.
Absolutely. It takes it's really hard to kind of latch on to what you're good at. I think a lot of breweries kind of pull straws and say, am I good at making IPAs? Am I good at making porters? And then, they'll focus hard on that and making it better. I think a lot of breweries always jump to the IPA. and they'll try to make an IPA, and they'll try to make a lot of IPAs. Maybe they don't make the best IPAs. I like experimentation. So I like going into a brew pub or a brewery, getting a flight, and getting a bunch of different beers I get to try. Sometimes you go to one brewer and they have all IPAs. You're like, that's great. I mean, I love IPAs, but I'd love to try something different. So I think it's really cool that they experimentate with a lot of different flavors and styles.
Right. No, I think that's great because, you do go to some breweries and, maybe they're not the best at making IPAs, but yet, they have 3 or 4. And so on a flight of 6, you have 4 IPAs that are mediocre and not that great. And, maybe they have a great porter.
Exactly.
Because you're getting a flight, you're getting a small amount. And I was like, I should have just gotten a pint or 2 of porter and be done with it. But
definitely agree.
Nice. Well, let's see here. What else can we talk about? What do you think about the nitro craze? Sam Adams is investing big into nitro for not just stouts, but IPA.
But Bud Light, did you see that? I tweeted you. Was it Sam Adams? Or I said was it Bud? What was the tweets I tweeted you?
Yeah. Sam
Adams is getting into nitro. Yeah.
Yeah. I think nitro is great. I mean, to be honest with you, I think a smooth, silky beer like a Left Hand Milk Stout on nitro is fantastic, and I love that they actually have it in a bottle, and I can actually pour it in. There you go. I mean, I can pour it right in. It tastes fantastic. The nitro craze is great. On Untappd, a lot of people actually tend to use different types of beer creation methods with nitro, and we actually don't support a new beer as a nitro. We actually ask you to just as a serving style for us. I know that it tastes different and it's a different style, but really and honestly, they're not making the beer with nitro when they make the beer. It's just the vessel that it comes in. So I think a lot of time people get confused when it comes to that. But the nitro craze is not going to go away. People love to experiment with different things. Beer mixes, beer blends are getting very popular as well. I think that won't really stop when it comes to those type of things. But for me, can't get much better than a milk stout on a nitro. I mean, that's pretty much what it was meant for. I mean, that's right. When it comes to that stuff.
It's nice and sweet. And
absolutely. Smooth, very smooth.
Smooth, yeah, mouthfeel. Looks like we got some chat wars going on.
I don't know what you're talking about, dude. See, if there's one thing that Eric, aka Rush Miller, found he's gonna work for in the UX is like a fifth smack talking window. So be like, oh look, this smack talking box is open. Somebody wants to come in and smack talk.
Yeah, well, guess who it is? It's Eric.
Sidebar humor, exactly. So, Greg, let me ask you this: is as social media evolves, and you see things like live streaming, Blab, Periscope, and Snapchat. I mean, how? Like, for example, right now with the app that you have, it is interfacing with like traditional social media.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, I don't know, Gunnar, if this is something you were going to ask, but I mean, is this something moving forward that you're going to be able to kind of cross-pollinate? Like, for example, I know now, a good majority of photos, etc., images from my gallery, I can send them out to, my fans on Snapchat and things like that. But I mean, with platforms like that, is that something that you guys are looking to do moving forward?
I think, the whole notion of the real time and the Periscope and what was the other one that kind of died out? I forget, it was a little
Meerkat.
Meerkat, yes, exactly. So I forgot the name. That's horrible. So I think with those notions, I think the idea is like, I want to share something in real time, and we actually have the real time notion in Tap because that's the whole point of it. When you're checking in real time at a bar, you can kind of do it from that perspective. So I'm not sure if there's going to be any type of video sharing or things like that in the future, but I think the whole notion of like trying to bring people together in a community has been one thing we've always focused on with the application. So, there have been many stories where I'll check in at a bar and I'll look at who's around me and I'll find, that's that person right next to me is using it. Let's have a conversation. So that's the kind of thing that I use the app from that real-time perspective to share with friends and see what's going on. I've actually, seen that my friends is down the street. We have a new feature released about 6 months ago called check-in alerts. You can actually get notified when your friends are nearby checking in. So, hey, maybe you want to join them. So that's kind of what we're pushing the boundaries from those avenues in terms of alerts.
Right. Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So hey, Tommy, great great reminder, folks. We are hanging out right now with Greg Avola, again, one of the co-founders of Untappd. Certainly one of our house favorites. If you have a chance, definitely pop that on your device. It works with pretty much every platform out there.
Yep.
Apple, Android, whatever. Definitely the link is right down there. Check them out. And honestly, you'd be surprised. I think a good number of my friends that I didn't know were on Untappd, if that makes any sense. But I think to Gunnar's point, and obviously with some of what Greg was saying earlier, it's a very valuable resource. I feel like not just so much for like the expert, but for somebody that's looking to try to get into trying different styles of beers. Greg, I love some of the newer things that you are rolling out, which Gunnar and I were talking about. I think that it's an awesome feature. Also, it is one of the things, audience, that I use, and it's just simply if I want to try a different style of beer, I'll go in and research it. Like, for example, with session ales. I mean, I used Untappd. I was like, session ales. And to your point about the way that the app was designed, it popped in, it gave me a number of my friends that tried different session ales. So I was able to, pick out a few different session ales that honestly, I feel like it saved me a lot of the legwork, where I was kind of like, I'm like, oh, I don't know, this one. And I think that for the audience out there that is, watching this, maybe either live or on replay, let's face it, nothing sucks more than spending cash on beer and getting it home and tasting it, and you're like, whoa. And fortunately, it doesn't happen as much. Right. Once in a while it does, but I think with Untappd, it's just simply a no-brainer.
Yeah, and that's the kind of premise is that you want to find the next great beer, and we're trying to help that process happen with recommendations. That's use the app more often to get to know your taste profile, can recommend you beers in your local area. And you can find out bars that are popular. Go to a new place for the first time, want to find out where the breweries are. We try to put all the tools in your set to kind of answer from that perspective. So.
Freaking fired up to be here, Greg.
Awesome, Eric.
Sorry I was late. I had to actually fly in a helicopter to go save lives. Fortunately for them, we were canceled. Look at that, Gunnar, huh? We had this actually at work, not the beer, just the coaster. Here, high five it. Hey, so Greg, in fact, I think I've got a friend of mine that uses your app, and I'm going to download it now. What about adding a craft beer exchange on there? I've been advocating for at least a month and a half. It's called a beanie, Crowder. It's cold here. But yeah, I think it would be cool to have like, hey, you live there, or is anybody out there, living in. I'm going to Bend again this weekend. Does somebody live in Bend? Send me a double IPA from Crux Brewery or something like that. And so then you can have this exchange. I don't know how you get the age things taken care of. There's got to be some kind of deal where, you're taken out of that legal aspect, but, a peer-to-peer exchange.
Yeah, the thing with the actually, bringing beer from one person to the other is all sort of legal troubles with that, which actually is so, in my opinion, is kind of ridiculously stupid because, I always tell people you can go and drive a car at 16, at least in some states. You can smoke a cigarette at 18. You can go to war, but drinking alcohol and beer specifically, that could be problematic. For me, I think there's just so many things out there that prevent these types of things from happening. But I think connecting users with people in the area that might want to trade beer back and forth is definitely something that we're working on for the future, especially having some sort of absolutely ways to kind of say, do you have this? Do you have this? And then being able to kind of communicate.
Well, that is exactly right. And then there's actually a face-to-face rather than sending it. Right. And even if, for instance, if you're going to be flying somewhere, you could be connecting. Like if I was going to New York, I would definitely avoid Jonah. However, maybe Gunnar on the East Coast, right? Hey, were you here? And I don't want to go on too many tangents because I'm usually the focused one here. But were you here for Jonah's pour?
I was here.
Okay, so
thank you. He saw it. He was good. He was giving me props. Where did we go there?
I think it was a pretty good pour. I'm not going to lie about it. I think.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know the insider.
Sit down.
Greg, have you been to any of the other ones where they weren't? I would say.
I object, Your Honor. I object, Your Honor. He's leading him on.
I cannot say under any certain accountability that I have seen previous encounters with this pour.
Hospital internet. Yeah, I know you were trying to bug something up there, Jonah. Yeah, no, just if you do nothing else, there's been some great craft beer blabs. But I think the important thing is just to go watch a few of the pours over the last probably month and a half.
We'll do.
It was historic. Okay,
get in on giving them a hard time about it.
Thanks, Dan. You were here for all the other pours, and you know how dismal it was, and frankly embarrassing for all of us to even be associated with it.
Oh my God! Come on now, dude. You don't know. Are you kidding me,
dude? You were there. Do you want to go back to the recordings? Anyway, Greg, I'm really excited about this app, and I'm really excited about that social aspect of linking up and then having that. I mean, it adds roots to the app so that people are really becoming social on it, and I think that's going to just lead to greater success for you.
Great.
And then taking that template and then doing a bourbon blab or something like that, because micro distilleries are exploding. Yes. And Jonah, you're right. Hard ciders are going crazy now too.
Yeah, we have cider and mead and beer on the app. Those are the three kind of main things that we support. But definitely in the future, maybe this goes down another path to another type of alcoholic beverage. Up to this point, really was kind of part time for us. We're just trying to manage beer, and there's tons of stuff there to do. So maybe in the future, you never know. I think.
Well, if you'd like somebody else to just be your partner in the distillery, Colorado, where I am, where I've been skiing for the last 2 days. I don't know what you guys have been doing, Jonah, Gunnar, but I've been skiing. Actually, really nice powder.
Playing with a chirizu here.
Oh God, don't. Oh my, are we recording? I mean, seriously.
Yeah, we are.
You're a host. I don't. But in Colorado, we have the most micro distilleries. I say this all the time: most micro distilleries of any state in the country, and it's really just an exploding market. So I think your app, the easy thing is to take that template and then just switch it right over. You could have it. It's not necessarily a competitor. Just rebrand it under something else. Change the veneer of it, and man, it's good to go. So,
yeah, there are a couple of things that are different about every environment that we're looking at. Specifically, even talking about wine, specifically, like you talk about.
Oh my God, I didn't think about
years.
Wine, yeah.
You think about that's so important when you're having a wine, but with a beer, it's not that important when it comes to the year and stuff like that. So there are some different metadata here and there, but I definitely understand what you're saying. What we try to build is a platform that can build off of in other areas, not just beer. But for now, we're going to focus on beer, but maybe in the future something else.
Coffee, could even do coffee.
A lot of things.
You could really, and could you do some primers or some education, just basic education, starting with pours. And listen, let me just say there was a Great American Pour Off last week. I was a contender, Tommy, and Gunnar won. But I mean, he's the host, so of course he has to win. But Jonah's pour. And he had a whole week to train. He knew it was coming, and that's what was so embarrassing about it. Anyway, Greg, great to meet you.
Thank you very much,
gentlemen. The highlight of my Blab week. Great to see you guys. And Tommy, see you later. Out.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, we don't have fun on this Blab. So if you were expecting a very exciting Blab, I mean, we are a snooze bar, like go to sleep. So, but no, I actually tell you, two things. The whiskey aspect of things and the wine. I just even today, I was sitting in on a couple live streams, and apparently there's like hardly anyone that is doing any type of live streaming in relation to the wine marketplace. So at any rate, to your point about, moving it over to this, I guess, the spirit side of thing. I would agree with that. I think that that's great. I think that it would be a huge audience because, we've had people that have come on, our show like, oh, we do bourbon this or whiskey this or gin this or vodka. Right. And it's obviously it's a whole different level. Clearly for me, it would not have to be on a Tuesday night. Thank you very much. But I think I do like the concept of being able to apply that. I think that, to your point about being able, to move those parallels, one direction or the other, obviously now you need to move in, the appropriate experts to be able to say, okay, what are the criteriums for a spirits drinker versus a craft beer drinker, versus, somebody who's drinking, wine, I can tell you that I hardly know anything about wine, but, and especially the criteriums of what makes a good wine. So same conversation. So.
Yeah, I think it's just finding the right people to work with and seeing how that matches up. I think, we're positioning ourselves to be the leader in this space, and I think we're learning a lot from the beer world, and now it's just a matter of applying that logic to other mediums. So, but right now we're focusing on beer, seeing when that will take us, and then hopefully in the future something else.
Excellent. Yeah, no, that's excellent. Cool. Excellent.
Well, guys, unfortunately, I have to sign out, here, but I want to thank you very much for having us on, or having me on. Us, just me.
Yeah.
But thank you very much. Really appreciate the support, and best of luck, guys. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks for
See you guys later.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, that was exciting. Yeah.
I think that was great. A couple other things I wanted to touch base upon before we close out. I know it's after the hour, but I was in a Blab last week, not one of our Blabs, but I was, surfing around while I was working, and I came across a Blab, and Hannah and Brittany were in there, and they posted a link to a thing. And I put my name in, and I'm hoping I got a T-shirt.
Yeah, buddy. Nice.
So they do this every once in a while. They'll go into a Blab, and they'll say, hey, if you want a T-shirt, go here and fill out the form. And I did it, hoping that I would get it. And let's take a look here.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Okay, so we got a couple of stickers, a iProp Blab sticker, and a couple of Hootie Owls. And then
nice.
So I guess it's official. I am some sort of Blab promo person now.
Woohoo! Nice.
Oh yeah. So I'm stoked. That's pretty cool that they do that. So I guess the moral of the story is, if you can, get on Blab every once in a while and follow Brittany and Hannah around. And if they ever post up a link for T-shirts, then make sure you get in there and fill out the form, because you'll probably get one.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And hey, I know you got some exciting news for the Thursday bike chat. What do you got going on?
Well, it's funny that people are talking about the big wheel craze and 29ers this, and I see fat bikes and whatnot, but David Folsch, if that name does not ring a bell, he is the mastermind behind Dirty Sixer bikes. And you can check them out at dirtysixer.com. They develop an actual mountain bike, or I should say a bike for taller people. And here's somebody that you're going to know, Shaquille O'Neal, right? The Shaq. If you check those guys out on Facebook, they actually just recently built a custom bike for the shack, so that's kind of cool. So I did a little research and had some time to chat with David. He's actually been gracious to come on to our show this Thursday. So Gunnar, thanks for the plug, but I'm very excited to hear all about that. Very fun. Definitely, it's 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's Bike Chat. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's Jonah D. Pasquale, not at the Hoggle. That's a whole other story. But I'm very excited, and I tell you, it is the beauty of live streaming and Blab and Twitter. Gunnar, I have to say, if people are not taking advantage of reaching out to contacts or folks that they have access to here, you just never know. In fact, couple other exciting shows that we'll talk about later, but there's some really exciting guests that are going to be coming out on Craft, or Bike Chat. But I know that you've got some good things coming up next week for Craft Beer Blab as well. I see we're talking about sours. Is that what I see? Or
that is a potential topic, and I kind of wanted to throw it out to everyone else that's listening if they wanted to. Let's use those bikes to deliver bagels. That's awesome.
Oh my God, that was a funny one, by the way.
That was amazing Blab. And I only caught part of it.
It was nuts.
It's just something that's gone down in the history books. It's amazing. But I wanted to find out what everyone else wanted to drink. I mean, we could have sours, we could have, I don't know, whatever style of beer, but I kind of wanted to open it up to everyone else to see what Eric's saying. He downloaded Untappd and he's friending all of us. Quick, block.
Seriously.
I'm joking.
Where is he?
Yeah. Oh, see, you've got the Founders All Day IPA. Yeah, it's a great beer. No, so I wanted to open it up and see what everyone else wanted to bring to the table as far as what they wanted to sample or what they wanted to talk about as far as beer style, beer topics, whatnot. Decent pour. Look at that.
Eat it right there. He's like, I didn't see it.
Right.
Well,
I'm going to stop recording here.
Yeah.
So this has been Craft Beer Blab. Thanks for tuning in. We'll get to the after party here in just a second. But I just want to thank everyone for joining in. And if you're watching this on replay, thank you so much. And go ahead and continue tweeting this out if you want, because we appreciate it. It helps bring other people into the Blab and let them know about what we do here.
Yeah,
Thanks
absolutely.
a lot.
Yeah, thank you.